Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Look at all the quarterbacks we hyped up this season and heading in the season where they are right now.
Would not surprise me at all if the Big Ten got 5 teams in the playoff.
It feels like there is a lot of support for the dog here in Oregon.
Penn State has done nothing and shown nothing and beaten nobody.
I don't want to hear any excuses about them not being ready to play this game. I'll tell you that.
There you go. He dropped the us, Sammy. He's serious about this one. He dropped the us.
I love Jordan Davis, too, after the game, the Eagles big fellow. He basically said, like, yeah, I just want to score.
I can't wait to let 18 to 22
I made a call, today, and I said, look, we actually need the paper.
Welcome, everyone. Bear Bets, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings Sportsbook is the best place to bet touchdowns this season. And this week, new customers can bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets paid instantly. Download the DK Sportsbook app. Use the promo code BEARBETS. That's BEARBETS, 2 words, when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. And little solicitation there on the side, unpaid solicitation for the touchdowns. Got a nice little TD live boost yesterday, and got Kenneth Walker at a nice little plus price, which was always nice when you get that little boost. So make sure you look for those promo boosts on touchdowns, especially when they pop that live touchdown score up there. Geoff, Sammy, pretty I don't want to say ho-hum week. I think we learned a couple of things in both college and I don't know what we learned in the NFL, frankly, other than the fact that if there was ever like an hour advertisement to never, ever, ever want to bet on the NFL ever, it was like that 3:15 through 3:30 to 4:30 type window when everything was going crazy. But I think if you look at college football this past weekend, the Indiana-Illinois game was something we kind of alluded to a lot last week, where the line, it seemed like the line was going up and up and up, despite people saying Illinois was a live dog. And I brought up that Nebraska game last year where it was kind of the same thing. It felt like Nebraska was a live dog, and that game was over early. As a good ex-colleague and very good friend of mine used to say, when you lose, you say little. When you win, you say less. And 63-10 later, Sammy, it was an ugly night in Bloomington for the Fighting Illini.
Not really a surprise that Illinois came back to water. I mean, after winning the turnover battle against Duke and then squeaking out a cover against Western, I stayed off it. I let Geoff drive the death blow into the heart of Champaign, Illinois. It was crazy, though, because by the time we got to kickoff, the line was out to 7. Indiana was a 7-point favorite at multiple shops. And then you had, the sharp people come in and say, oh, that's a good number. Let me take 7, and never had a chance. Never. Indiana, almost 600 yards of offense, Geoff. Signetti. I don't know how long he's there. He's there for a good time, not a long time. That was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to dash the hopes of Indiana long term, but yeah, I would imagine that Florida makes a phone call. I mean, I don't know how they don't, right? I mean, there's going to be schools that are calling him, but nonetheless, that's not what's important here. What's important here is that Indiana won by doing the things that win games, right? They won in the trenches, guys. We talked a lot about Illinois in this game, their offensive line. Indiana won in the trenches. They won running the football, they won rushing the passer, and they won with Mendoza, who we hyped up this preseason. We tried to tell you guys, I know a lot of people probably didn't watch a lot of Cal football last year. I'm sure they just watched one game, Cal-Miami, right? And that game was also super late at night, so maybe not. And Mendoza is better than Rourke. So you add him into this offense with the players they have, the coaching they have. And look, 63-10 is probably a mischaracterization of the actual end result, considering Illinois lost, I think, 7 guys in the defensive backfield during this game, plus had their best linebacker, I think it was their linebacker, right, tossed from the game for targeting. So probably if they play again, they don't lose 63-10. But the point is that I think we tried as a podcast to warn you that Illinois was a little bit over their skis, and maybe we didn't respect Indiana enough. That's certainly fair to say. They have my respect now. Look, they come to Eugene in 3 weeks. Like I'm like, oh boy, my eyes are on them right now. So still a tough schedule for them. I think it's a little bit much to say like Big Ten champions or playoff team. They still have to go to Penn State and go to Oregon, but they really dominated that game in a really successful plan of how to attack. If you do that more weeks than not, you win a lot of games.
That's what I was going to say, Geoff and Sammy, and you just alluded to the schedule. Is this a 10-2 type team? Because they're going to be favored in every game outside of the trip to Autzen and the trip to State College.
Yeah,
10-2. We saw 11-1 with like no wins get him in last year. Could it be another deal 10-2 and really, who knows what type of win Illinois is going to be by the end of the year? We thought they might have been ranked at the like. Is plus 170 enough for you on the comeback, guys, to have them make the playoff?
So here's the difficult part, I think, for this discussion, right? So I think we all assume that no matter what happens this weekend, Penn State and Oregon are in, Ohio State is most likely in, right? And so then it's between really like Indiana and Michigan, in my opinion. Michigan had to lost to Oklahoma, but their schedules: Wisconsin, USC, Washington at home, Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern, Maryland, Ohio State. Like they're going to probably win 10 games too, guys. So it comes down to, I think, style of play.
Right. So you think Michigan goes to SC and wins?
Yes, I think they'll beat them up in the trenches.
Oh, he hates USC, Bear.
Do you not think they're going to win the game in the trenches? Like, what's the difference between that, what we just saw this weekend, and what they're going to do to USC? I don't really see. USC's got to prove themselves they can win a game like that in the trenches. USC won one game with Lincoln Riley, playing a team that's better than them in the trenches.
Sammy, 170 on Indiana enough to get you to dabble?
Look, the Big Ten as a whole, though, has a bunch of respect. I mean, the three highest power-rated teams are Big Ten teams. It's Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon. And you can decide what the order is. They're all right there, and they're right around the same. Evident by the fact that Oregon and Penn State is now 3.5. That's home field in college football. It's like 3.5, 4 points, depending on who you ask. So those three teams are all right around the same, but they're all better than any team in the SEC. So I think the strength of the conference in totality will help the Big Ten potentially get 4 or 5 teams. Geoff threw out a couple. I mean, SC is going to be there until they're not in the conversation. SC, Michigan, Indiana, Northwestern. No, not Northwestern. Never mind. I'm kidding. I want to learn a lot about Illinois, how they bounce back. We'll talk about that game obviously coming up, but would not surprise me at all if the Big Ten got 5 teams in the playoff.
Five feels like a lot, but 4, I think, is definitely very doable. Before we move on to Penn State, Oregon, which is the biggest game of the week, in my opinion, kind of bring it back. You mentioned to Illinois. Feels like a spot that it might be a play on here. I know, Geoff, you're all in on the Illini this week against your favorite Trojan team, but it feels like if you're gonna just the human nature of it, you had to get a 60 burger hung up on you. Now you have SC, which has not been a good road team. They did win at Purdue, but outside of that, they have not won these games. They had that game in Michigan, won last year and blew it. Blew a game at Maryland. So to your credit, you are correct. They have not finished these games at times. Now you get the early kick in Champaign. So you're taking 6.5 with Illinois, I'm assuming, this week.
Probably, unless their secondary is all injured again. I mean, I'm not going to take Illinois to cover a game with 6 of their starting, 6 of their secondary players out. That would be a really silly wager to make, as much as I think you can fade USC here and prop up Illinois. So that's what I'm waiting for. I just got to see the injury report. If the injury report shows that those guys are back and playing this week, I feel better about that. It's 7 now, by the way. So people are hammering USC, Sammy. No surprise, I think, after what we saw with Illinois. But I mean, if it's 7.5, call me a sucker, man. I'll be on the home team here, and I'll probably be in Iowa this week as well. Sammy, hosting Indiana.
Oh, I like Iowa too. Bear, make sure before you forget, make sure you write down Mary Ann's Diner in the phone.
I'm typing it up right now. Mary Ann, as in like Ginger and Mary Ann, like Two words, Marianne. Okay.
Yes. 2 words, Marianne.
Marianne Diner. Okay.
24-hour diner in beautiful Champaign, Illinois. It is right up your alley.
This sounds like a place I am going to go to dinner on Thursday night because I'm flying to Indy and then doing the hour and 50-minute drive, whatever it is. So I'll probably get to Champaign around 10 o'clock. I'll probably want a little something at that time.
Right there, so, straight there. It's right by the stadium.
Perfect. They've not gotten the accommodations yet, but I will. I'll find my way there either for dinner on Thursday night or maybe even a nice little early breakfast before the podcast duties the meeting duties come calling on Friday. All right. So now, biggest game of the week, Oregon, Penn State. It feels like there is a lot of support for the dog here in Oregon. And again, fairly or unfairly, right or wrong, these are the games that Penn State is going to be judged on. They're either going to confirm the narrative or break the narrative. We know the 4-20 versus top 10 teams. We know Drew Aller's struggles in these spots. Here's what I wanted to bring up with Penn State in the big picture, and you guys can take it big picture and answer it, or take it to the game on Saturday. Say Penn State loses here. It's only a 3.5 point spread, and say the early money in this game is right, and Oregon goes there and wins. Say they go to Ohio State and lose. Now you're looking at a 10-2 Penn State. And it's kind of a little like the conversation we had with Notre Dame. 10-2 Penn State with a terrible non-conference schedule and no real good win. I mean, they do have Indiana in there, but 10-2 Penn State losing to Oregon at home and losing at Ohio State, is that going to get them in the playoff? Would you be interested in maybe a little no? I think they're around plus 275 or so on the no right now to make the playoff. Is that something that intrigues either of you, or you just think 10-2 Penn State is in the playoff?
They're probably in the playoff at 10-2. I don't really know. I mean, what's the argument? So are we saying that like Indiana or Michigan goes in ahead of them if they're 10-2? I mean, that's a game we're playing.
It could be anybody. It could be someone. It could be the Miami, Florida State loser if they go 11-1 in the ACC. It could be a second Big 12 team. It could be another SEC team. It could be Notre Dame, or could be whomever. There's no real conference. This isn't the Big Ten's.
We have to figure out who the other teams that are in.
Yeah, exactly. You have to figure it out, obviously, at the end of the year. But I guess what I'm saying is, like, I don't know if a 10-2 Penn State who would have lost to Oregon, who would have lost to Ohio State, like, how's that going to compare potentially against some of these other teams that might have wins over ranked teams? Again, just something to maybe think about this week if you're looking for a way maybe to get ahead of the curve. If you like Oregon this week, that might be a way to play. Maybe a Penn State no to make the playoff might be a little enticing for you.
I think Penn State wins Saturday. So no, I'm not interested. Okay. This number in the summer was probably 5.5, 6. And because Penn State has done nothing and shown nothing and beaten nobody, their power rating hasn't changed. We talked on Bruce and the Bear last Friday about how Oregon has elevated maybe 4 or 5 points from a power rating standpoint. So the books have caught up on Oregon, but when you catch up, oftentimes you catch up too fast and you move things too fast. It's a tough place to go in and win. And I think there's a lot to be said about Penn State not really showing you anything. Aller has not looked good. We all know that, but they're still favored and they should still win this game. And I think it's actually cheap. You can lay a 3 game day on Penn State. I'll be interested for sure.
Well, all I know is this: Penn State, they better be ready, right? They had a bye. That's a rest all week before this big game. Oregon's got to fly across the country. It's a whiteout. So Penn State got what they wanted here. I don't want to hear any excuses about them not being ready to play this game. I'll tell you that. Look, I think it's a tough game for us. Sammy mentioned a lot of the issues that could happen in this game.
He dropped the us, Sammy. He's serious about this one. He dropped the us.
Of course I am. I'm wearing my Oregon shirt. Jersey Jeff will be back on Thursday. Do not worry. I got to figure out which one I'm going to wear. I'm slightly concerned about some of our pass protection. Some of the issues of just communication on offense. We haven't played in a place like this before. A little bit of run defense. But one thing, Sammy, that you mentioned that I just want to bring up is they haven't shown, the idea that like they haven't shown anything on offense, or they haven't, I don't know, plenty of other teams that have played crummy teams have shown stuff on offense and their quarterbacks have played well. I kind of don't buy that narrative that they've showed nothing. I just don't think Aller's very good or as good as we wanted to be. Look at all the quarterbacks we hyped up this season and heading in the season where they are right now. When in fact, it's the John Mateer, it's the Dante Moore, it's the guys that maybe were the Mendozas. Now, we were high on some of these guys, right? I have a great Mateer ticket for Heisman. Probably won't get home, but it's a good ticket. I got a good Moore ticket. But the idea is that, there was a certain group of quarterbacks that were hyped up. Aller, Nessmeyer, Klubnik, Arch. And then they're obviously this other group of quarterbacks is good, right?
Dellers.
So I don't believe this idea that they're hiding something for Oregon. They didn't play terribly, won a lot of games. Aller just didn't complete passes. So I just don't buy that idea. Now, in this game, could they run down Oregon's throat? Absolutely. Could Aller pass the ball 15 and 20 times and win? Absolutely. But we'll see how it goes. I think the number one factor for Oregon quickly is that this, to me, parallels a lot of Georgia, Tennessee, where you have to withstand the early barrage, whatever Penn State did over the bye week to prepare for this game. If you can withstand the early points, early barrage, and get used to the crowd noise, you're going to be fine. If you let it dominate you early and let it get you off your game, you're going to lose.
Okay, trivia question time. Let's see if you studied, because I think, Geoff, I think I may have sent you the Big Noon show note weekly planner that I put together. And Sammy, if I haven't sent it to you, I need to add you to the list. Of the 135 qualified quarterbacks in the country in QBR, where does Drew Aller rank?
120th.
Isn't his QBR like 40? It's super low, right?
38.8,
Yeah.
and he ranks 106th, right between South Alabama's Bishop Davenport and West Virginia's Nico Marshall. So, Marshall, I should say.
We'll see. Look, there's going to be a lot that comes out throughout the week about where the market is going to move in this game. I have a feeling that by the time we get close to Saturday, Oregon is going to be very trendy, very popular. We talk about those bets every Friday. Where is the room at? What is the public going to bet? I have a feeling there's not going to be a big appetite to bet Penn State. Those are the sides I try and be on, although I was on that side Friday with Rutgers. Bear, your Suns boys, man, I can't with them. It's just,
I mean, well, yeah, allow a kickoff. It was every little bit of everything that Iowa would have needed on the road, and Gronkowski ran the ball well. And yeah, that was a tough one for the State University of New Jersey, and we'll see. They got a tricky one on the road this week with the Gophers. But another team that it seems like there really isn't an appetite to bet right now is the number one team in the country, Ohio State. It seems like this has been one-way action early in the week, Sammy. Seems like every sharp in the world is betting UW, Washington plus the points. And I get it. You've got the young quarterback on the road making a start in a hostile environment against a trendy team, a good offense. And just to take you back to a game that means there's really no real connection other than the storyline about how good of a team is and how good of a quarterback. I think back to 2000 with Miami, when their Ken Dorsey's first road start was on the road in September against Washington. They got avalanched early. He struggled in the first half, and they came roaring back, nearly won the game. They were the best team in the country in 2000, but they lost that game. So it's just kind of like saying, hey, Julian Sayin might turn out to be a really good quarterback, but it is his first road start against a good team. He's got probably the best team in the country surrounding him. Not impossible that Ohio State goes on the road this week and loses.
Market opened 10, and we're now sitting 8 at plenty of respected shops right now. A lot of Ohio State -8. Now, DraftKings has 8.5. There may be more of a push on Washington. I mean, that's a surprising move to me, though, to go from 10 to 8, and we haven't even had this market open for 24 hours. But as we know, if it gets too low, there's going to be that Ohio State resistance. If this were to get to 7 or lower, Geoff, you're going to see that Buckeye support with limits go higher.
Just want to bring up the point here. Do we think Colorado State is any good? Any takers on Colorado State this year?
Moses Moreno still there?
It was they played Washington. The game was tied at 21 middle of the third quarter before Washington got an interception and Colorado State didn't finish a couple of drives. I don't think we think Washington State's very good.
No.
And they were driving to tie the game in the fourth quarter before throwing a pick six against Washington. I don't think Washington defensively is going to do anything in this game. And if Ohio State's able to use Caleb Downs, I would imagine they would spy Williams with Downs and keep Williams in the pocket. Boston's really good. They're going to have some opportunities there. I think Washington will. I think they'll shut down Jonah Coleman. And I'd gladly take Ohio State at -8. Please get to 7. I'd be happy with that. So this might end up making one of my best bets this week. I just don't think these teams are very close talent-wise right now. And yes, the road start is a problem, but hey, Jeremiah Smith is down there somewhere. It doesn't take a lot of rocket science to make that happen.
So a lot of intrigue, certainly in the Big Ten this week, and will go a long way to shaping the narrative in the college football playoff race the rest of the year. So moving on from the upcoming week to last week, and it was an all-timer for a lot of bad beats. There were two that I think stood out overall. The first one being Saturday, and I think I texted you guys. I know I texted a bunch of people. I said I can't wait to lose Auburn +7 when they go for it and don't get it, and then Oklahoma has to score and not run out the clock. And didn't quite turn out that way, but it was pretty damn close with the old safety late with Jackson Arnold in the end zone, and it was just ugly. Look, Oklahoma was never the right side. The officiating in the game costing. They probably cost Auburn points on the fumble return, and then the unsportsmanlike penalty for not going off the field. They didn't call that, so it was a brutal beat. If you had Auburn, not only from the late game antics and the late game shenanigans, to really just a couple of calls within the game that really went. Oklahoma's went. Look, give them full credit. They had 11 sacks, but if you had Auburn +7, at least you pushed. If you had Auburn +6.5, T's and P's.
Tough. Only to be outdone by Sunday, which we'll get to. But here's what's crazy. Oklahoma goes for 2. It's a different conversation. They get the 2-point conversion. They don't get it, and then it sets up the safety that breaks your heart. I know some guys that had Auburn +6.5 in like these last man standing contests. There. You get one pick, and you got to get it right or you're out. And imagine having Auburn +6.5 in a contest like that.
Oh, yeah.
It'll keep you up at night.
Yeah, fortunately, I did not have Auburn in last man standing. I had Auburn in the Friday Football Invitational at 7. I think it was 7, either 7 in Friday Football Invitational or 7 in the Superbook contest, and 6.5 in the other spot. So I wound up losing one, pushing the other. Probably should have won both. So in one of those contests it was a win, and one of them was a push.
You can't have second, third, and fourth down without throwing the ball in that situation. I mean, I don't really know why Arnold didn't throw the ball. Now, the last one, the right tackle got beat, and I think it was the right tackle. But second and third down, throw the ball. Like you can't just get sacked there. Anything is better than 0, and that's what happened. They just come backwards. Oklahoma overwhelmed them. That was a tough beat, but I think nothing Bear beats the Rams Eagles, because this is. If there's a ranking of worst NFL beats of all time, this has got to be top 5, I think, ever. It was one of the worst things. Now, I didn't have much on this, but you were on the Eagles, right?
I did. So the badness that happened to me on Saturday with Auburn was repaid in tenfold on Sunday. To quote the podcast name of one of the former Eagles wives, I'm not going to lie, I had a pretty significant Eagles money line bet in this game. And when I was out Sunday afternoon doing all of my weekly errands and chores, and at lunch, I saw the score, and I was like, well, here we go. And then to not only cover, but not only win the game, but to cover the 3.5 in the contests like I had, absolute miracle. So again, Eagles, never the right side. They always say you remember the ones you lost, and you don't really remember the ones you win and you got fortunate. I'll remember that one, because the gods repaid me for what happened on Saturday. I just can't imagine how many people out there had both the Rams and Auburn. That is just an all-time doozy. But for what's with all the blocked field goals all of a sudden? And then have the defensive tackle run it back 60 yards for the score.
Not only that, they recorded him as like the fastest speed ever. Someone over 300 pounds had ever been on the field. Like
faster than you?
Yes, believe it or not, faster than me. I do have a kickoff return in the NFL for
I know.
16 yards, but faster than me. Yeah, I think it was like nearly 19 miles an hour he was running at the end. And wow. Look, what's with it is on the Rams one specifically, the Rams right guard just would have been left guard in that situation, did a bad job of protection, essentially. He was way too high. The Browns one just blocked it off the edge. And that was an incredible kick. And the Jets one, they did the old leverage jump, right? Now it wasn't called because it wasn't leverage, but jumped over the snapper and blocked the kick. Now the Jets obviously ended up losing that game. The Bucs came all the way back to
that would have been great if the Bucs would have won.
Survivor, yeah. Sake. But I love Jordan Davis too. After the game, the Eagles big fellow, he basically said like, yeah, I just wanted to score. Like, he could have fallen on the ball and the game would have been over. But he's like, I picked up, I just wanted to score. I wanted to run. I just kept running until I was done. He lost a lot of weight this offseason. He looks really good. So good for Philly. Look, that game switched very quickly. First half, Rams controlled the line of scrimmage. Eagles came back and controlled the line of scrimmage. Second half of the game, Lane Johnson being out was a problem in the first half, but the Eagles mitigated that. And A.J. Brown played big. I mean, it was a good win for the Eagles if they just won by a point, obviously. But in the end there, again, that touchdown late was – and two, last thing, Bear, so you might not have been watching live, I guess. They didn't change the score on the score bug for like 2 minutes. And I was wondering, I don't know, Sammy, you notice this too? I was wondering if they actually counted it or not, because they didn't do the touchdown graphic. They just, Joe Davis, incredible call, by the way. He's so good. And they just like showed the score bug and just nothing happened.
It's a great
game's over. They show them celebrating. Then like about 2 minutes later, the touchdown graphic and the 33 popped up. And then obviously they were texting each other in joy that Bear won his wager.
Bear was not in a good place when the Eagles were not covering. Bear was in a great place when the Eagles covered. I have the numbers for you too on Sunday. 9 return touchdowns and 5 blocked field goals. Little chaotic, one would think. Don't know that we get those numbers again. What's up, Bear?
No.
I was going to say, of course, this is the week I choose to not play like the defensive special teams touchdowns and all these DraftKings like anytime touchdown boosts. Of course, it's that week, right?
Look, I know we're doing bad beats, and this doesn't classify as a bad beat because it didn't end in heartbreaking fashion. But anybody who bet the Patriots, that was a bad beat.
Oh, totally.
I mean, all they did was get near the goal line and just give the ball away. Jeff, you had Pats, right? I mean, that was the right side.
So before the half, now I thought Drake May got concussed. I was surprised he stayed in the game. He hit the back of his head and like grabbed it. One play later, interception in the end zone. Ball was, I think, tipped, but still Henry was open. And then the next drive after halftime, march down the field and Stevenson fumbles at the goal line. So 2 straight possessions in the end zone, and they fumbled total 4 times through 1 interception as well. -5. Again, Bear, I know Bear is a somewhat Steelers fan because his wife, but this is a perfect Steelers win again. Plus 5 in turnovers. They weren't really good on offense. The Patriots just kept giving them the ball, and they ended up winning that game. And the Steelers are 2-1 now. Again, like just every year, the same voodoo magic. I will say, Sammy, the Patriots are just as bad as you said they're going to be. You should deserve credit. They are. I don't know if Vrabel's a bad coach, but they're just play like shit. Penalties, turnovers, undisciplined play. It is a really terrible. I've been on them a couple of weeks now, so I've been watching them play a little bit. Unfortunately, I have to watch the Titans play too. Holy heck, there. Brian Callahan was like 3-17 as a coach now. It's bad.
Titans have 37 points, Bear, and the kicker has 30 of them.
I was going to say, I'm glad you mentioned the Titans. And I know we got to segue off of bad beats here, but it's kind of, it might result in a bet. Like, have you guys seen any of these like first coach to be fired odds reposted anywhere? Because I've been looking for 2 weeks because I want to bet Callahan. Like they're going nowhere with him as the head coach. I have a Zach Taylor bet from the preseason. I didn't bet McDaniel, but I think McDaniel is going to kind of survive a little while. Like the sooner the Titans make a change, I think the better off they're going to be.
I think the thing about the Dolphins is like they might, if this week they play the Jets this week. If they lose at home on Monday Night Football to the Jets, that might be it for McDaniel. Because that's a game, an 0-3 Jets team. Like the Jets, I think are going to win that game. That's my guess as of now. If they lose that game, he's probably gone. the Titans weren't supposed to be good. The Dolphins were, right? Like that's the difference. Now, take it back. The total for the Dolphins was like 7.5. They weren't supposed to be good, but they're supposed to be better than they are. The Titans, everyone thought would stink.
Yeah, they weren't supposed to be number one draft pick back.
Right. So maybe they survived. Look, I mean, how about this? Titans-Texans 0-3 matchup this weekend in Houston. How about that? Wow.
And there'll be a lot of people, I bet, on Houston in Survivor this week. I would not. The team right now in Survivor, I would take the Chargers if they're going to smoke the Giants. It's going to be pretty bad in MetLife. In college this week, I tweeted about something Sunday when I was throwing together my note for Big Noon that we use as a foundation for the show, and went out there. There are 8 ranked teams this week on the road against unranked teams in college football. One of them is TCU, who is an underdog at Arizona State, but the other 7 are favored. And you go down the list here, and I don't know how you feel. I said, well, put an over under 3.5 where you're going. And it feels like most people did say under. But the only one that I look at and would not be completely shocked, or I should say, the only one I look at and say I would be absolutely floored if they lost would be Georgia Tech at Wake Forest. That's the only one I see where the dog has basically minimal chance. I mean, Ohio State, if they lose, I'd be very surprised, but not a shock. What do you think? Did I set a good number at 3.5, or should I have just put the 3 there and juiced it heavy to the under?
Yeah, the public does not care for upsets, Bear. I think that needs to be accounted for next time. Notre Dame Arkansas is a game that I can't wait to see. We have a Notre Dame game line, guys, at 64.5 on the total. That's because their defense continues to be a problem. And CJ Carr, I mean, his passer rating is almost 170 right now. He's playing very, very solid football in South Bend. 64.5 is so high. But then we watch Arkansas and Ole Miss just go back and forth. So I don't know what to make of this number. It feels a little high, but I'd be careful. Notre Dame's defense, if they don't get any stops here, you could easily see an upset.
The one that feels most likely to happen in this, the 2 is the Arizona State one. I think Arkansas off that loss to Memphis. That was a bad loss. They're 28-10. Yep. They should have won that game. And to get basically run over on the final play of the game, Memphis puts in their backup quarterback, and he just runs over a 400-pound offensive lineman for 10 yards. Congrats to Ryan Silverfield, by the way, on that big win. That's good for his resume as some firings are going to start to happen soon.
Yep. Could very easily be that G5 playoff representative.
Okay, so the one that I think is odd to me, though, a number here. So I think it's Florida State -6.5. I'm right on that number as of right now. Virginia is okay. Like, they score points.
Virginia's offense is really good,
but they've also played nobody, right? I mean, they scored a ton against Stanford.
They lost at NC State. They're picking the end zone on the final play.
That number, Florida State off a bye, that number feels pretty low. No,
7.5 now. They bet it through the 7.
Yep. Yeah, it does feel like super low. Florida State's much better. That doesn't mean they're going to win and cover the game, but that number felt off to me. I think the number is 2. I don't think Washington's winning. I don't think Iowa. Now we're going to bet Iowa, Sammy. So we have to think they can win, obviously, right?
It needs to be one of them.
Yeah, I mean, geez. I think BYU's going to smoke Colorado. That's one of probably will end up being my card this week for the contest. So I think 2 is probably the right number. 2.5 would be the right number to say.
Yeah, everyone out there, I'll give plugs to 2 really good numbers guys in the business. Dave Bartu, CFP Matrix, and Bill Connolly, as well as SP Plus Maestro. I believe they have some really good historical type numbers on this particular week in college football, basically because it's the week where you get some numbers based on records, where you get maybe some like faux undefeateds or some teams that really aren't as good as their record indicates. You get some teams maybe that the record really doesn't indicate how good they are, and teams are going on the road for the first time or playing a conference game for the first time. And this is a week historically where you do tend to get, I think, more upsets than usual. Yeah. So you talked about the Arkansas game with Notre Dame. Just to bring it back, if you bet Notre Dame no is like -300 right now. Notre Dame no playoff. In order for Notre Dame to miss the playoff, like, they're going to have to lose at Arkansas. Like, I think we talked about 10-2 Notre Dame's probably going to be in. Like, so if you're thinking about maybe betting Notre Dame no playoff, maybe think about betting Arkansas plus whatever it is on the money line. What's a 6.5 point dog on the money, 225 or something right around there. So maybe think about that as well. And Geoff, I know you had another college game that you were.
Yeah.
Sammy talked about the Arkansas game as a number he was looking at earlier this week, and I know Geoff, you had another college game that you were eyeing in terms of a number.
Yeah, I bet Houston minus 12.5 already at Oregon State. I don't know if it matters to anyone, but Bill makes this 16.5. I don't know what Sammy makes this game. Oregon State just stinks. I don't know what more to tell you. Houston's off a bye. Their defense is really good. I mean, this game, 31-10. I mean, there's going to be no juice in Corvallis for this game whatsoever after losing the Civil War the way they lost it. I think Houston looked much better against Colorado. They had some offense against Rice. Like, they're starting to pick things up a little bit offensive, but defensively, they're 7th in the country right now in points per drive. Now, again, they haven't played a ton of great teams yet, but I think they're off that. I think the Beavers just stink. So I took Houston minus 12. I think this number continues to climb throughout the week.
Yeah. How about our guy at Cal, by the way, finally came back down to earth, the quarterback. That was the most wild outcome given how well they looked, and then they get goosed. I didn't see that coming.
No. How about that? You got what 34-0 there.
It was wild.
What they close at 13-point favorite in the game, something like that.
I think almost 2 touchdowns end up.
That's one of the, I need to go back and look at the database to find the last time you had a 2-touchdown favorite like get shut out. Like, I know the 96 Nebraska team, they were a massive favorite at Arizona State when they lost that game 19-0.
No one passed the ball back then. Like, this is different when you pass the ball. Like, this guy, like, they get shut out. You know how hard it is. Like, the thing about all the games, like Penn State scored at Florida State this weekend. Like, teams score all the time at the end of games. They couldn't get one touchdown.
UAB scores at Tennessee.
UAB screwed us in my little fun time. And the thing about Cal is they go to Boston College this weekend. I was eyeing Boston College this weekend to take them like on a first cross-country road trip, true freshman on the road, that type of thing. And now I think I can't because they got blown out so badly. They're going to have more focus playing Boston College this weekend.
Yeah, and I think that probably has a potential to be a bit of a high-scoring game. Obviously, check the weather, but BC can't run the ball. Defensively, they're bad. Going to be a million passes in the game, so could be a high-scoring game. You know what does? How about the two most ridiculous results of the weekend? San Diego State 34, Cal nothing. Carolina 30, Atlanta Falcons nothing. Like, what was that?
It was so bad. We saw
Penix.
Kirk Cousins. That's how bad it was. Kirk Cousins played for Atlanta.
The thing about, Michael Penix, man, like the flaws that he showed at Washington are showing up in the NFL. He doesn't throw the ball in the middle of the field ever. And teams just sit on those outside routes. And that's an issue. He's got to fix that right now. So that's what, I'm higher in Carolina than you two were, I think. So the end result of the game was more than I thought it would. But I knew the Panthers were excited for this game without Terrell in the lineup for the Falcons.
And it certainly showed. And the Falcons showed a lot of warts there. But the game I'm looking at this week in the NFL is, I know there were some 4.5s earlier in the week or near the open on the Rams hosting the Colts. And again, the Colts are a team that they were the beneficiary of an officiating gift to beat the Broncos. They beat a terrible Titans team yesterday, and they beat a terrible Dolphins team in the opener. They are 3-0. I hopped on a Colts adjusted win total under 10.5 earlier this morning. And this Rams Colts line is down to 3.5. I think a lot of people are seeing this as an opportunity to, the Rams are going to be bummed and disappointed, and how are they going to bounce back from that loss in Philly? I love the Rams this week. I will be hoping that this point of 3.5, Sammy, is the resistance point. I don't want to see it. Like, remember the Clemson Georgia Tech game a couple weeks ago where it hit 3 and it went through it and nothing stopped it. Like, I'm hoping there is resistance here at 3.5, because that will tell me that the books are very comfortable going into this game, needing the Rams to cover the 3.5, because people are still coming in on the Colts as an underdog. And look, it's at a home field advantage, but the Rams really impressed me on Sunday. And I think with with McVay and the leadership of Stafford, I think they're going to be bouncing back in a big way this week.
Yeah, they took bets right away in Vegas. They took 4.5 down to 3. And then there was a little bit of pushback on Rams -3. We're sitting 3.5 basically everywhere now. It's hard to envision we get back to 3 without that pushback because people do respect the Rams. And remember, last week, the Rams were getting all the tickets, sharp, square. I don't think a blocked field goal and a return touchdown is going to get people off the Rams. It would take a little bit more than that, a couple more losses ATS to get people to completely depart from betting McVay, Stafford, Puka, et cetera, et cetera. Team's up 19. Got to win those games, guys. Got to win them.
Third quarter up 26-7. You got to win that game. And you talk about like CLV. Whenever we reference like CLV and put that one in the CLV dumpster and the barrel, it's kind of an homage to our buddy Dave Sharapan, who I know a lot of people in the gambling space knew and were friends with. Sammy, I know you were friendly and had a relationship with him. Geoff, I don't know if you had the pleasure of meeting Dave, but Dave was a gem of a person. He was unique. He was talented. He was witty. He was sharp. He was just one of a kind. And unfortunately, he lost his battle with cancer this past weekend. So like whenever you see you hear us talk about like the CLV, great picture of him in Twitter, like he's in front of a garbage pail with CLV. I'm assuming it means City of Las Vegas, but he and I would text that all the time whenever you'd have a beaten. One of the things that he always used to say was nobody knows shit. And that was one of it when talking about a game. And one thing I will disagree with Dave on that is that everyone did know one thing, that if they met you, they loved you. So sad day for those of us in the gambler world who knew Dave, Sammy.
Very sad. I've cried enough about it. I don't think I can anymore. I met him when I lived in Vegas many years ago, and we became good friends and celebrated birthdays together. And he always came to my Super Bowl parties in Vegas. And when I lost jobs, he lost jobs. We'd talk on the phone late into the night. And I just feel for his wife and their young kids, 3 girls who he just absolutely adored. And first thing he wanted to talk about was his family every time. And he's the most unselfish person. I know we use a lot of hyperbole when things like this happen, but he was the most unselfish person that I've ever met. And the fact that I'll never hear his voice again makes me very sad. We miss you, Dave. We love you.
Yeah, he's going to have a great seat for the White on side. Big Penn State guy, big Pittsburgh sports fan. So if you have no affiliation for anyone involving either the Steelers or the Penguins or Penn State this year, give a little emotional hedge and know that if those teams are successful, someone upstairs right now is going to be smiling down and pretty happy with that. So
he got the Steelers home, Bear. He definitely did.
Yes, he did. And we'll see if he can get the Nittany Lions home on Saturday as well. So hate to end on a down note, but wouldn't have felt right had we not talk about a guy who we really respected and loved being friends with. So appreciate everybody for tuning in this week. We'll have of course, the schedule by now. Bear Bets College on Thursday, Bear Bets NFL on Thursday, Bruce and the Bear on Friday. So big noon kickoff on Saturday this week from Champaign, Illinois, USC at Illinois. So thanks everyone for tuning in on the YouTube channel. So far, I guess we're hearing that the views are pretty good, which is a good thing. So keep tuning in there, downloading on Apple, Spotify, wherever else you get our podcasts. And remember, the less you bet, the more you lose when you win.